Hi, everybody. Ross the Boss here with Kasey Vlad to the Bone Chimefold, and we're live from La La Land, California. And this is week 12, Kasey. I can't believe how quick this year is going. I'm in first place in some of my leagues. I actually clinched. Playoffs. Yeah, playoffs. I can say it, Kasey.
You can.
And it's a great feeling to have, but you want that number 1 or number 2 seed to the bye week. So now I'm really looking at the waiver wire and trying to figure everything out. I mean, this week, Kasey, is my favorite week of the year. You know why?
Because you have football Thursday, Friday, and Sunday.
And no work. Basically, everybody's off. No one's working this week. It's like the roads. I had to pick my daughter up at the airport this morning from college.
Oh, I bet that was a nightmare.
At the airport, no, the 405 was empty. The airport
does that ever happen?
Kasey, during the pandemic, yes. But I mean, I was driving 75 miles an hour on the 405 in Culver City, and if you don't know LA, that's like the heat of the action during rush hour. It's like bumper to bumper. It's great. But I mean, it was a great feeling, and the airport was a little bumpy, but not too bad. I mean, you got in there and you got out, and it wasn't that bad of a commute for me this morning to pick her up, which I almost hired a car service, but I said, you know what, I'll pick her up. So,
well, congratulations on having your family home. That's got to feel good.
Yeah, my son's home from Nashville. Everything's good. Everybody's home, everybody's safe, and we're excited for Thursday. And I know you have big plans for Thursday. I know you're going to visit your in-laws in New York.
I will be. We'll be driving up. We don't do the Wednesday night drive because of the traffic. We'll get up early Thursday and make the drive.
And how long will that take you?
Takes about 3.5 hours. Not too bad.
And you have the twins.
Well, if the traffic is bad, it might take longer. But they're 14 now, so it's not like traveling with kids. They sit in the back with their headphones on, watching their iPhones, and they would rather not be in the car. So.
I mean, we used to play music and sing songs.
Oh, I know. I remember trying to entertain them with the license plate game or all that. Yeah. So
those days are over.
Now we miss those days. I used to complain about them when I had to try to come up with entertaining things for 4 hours. Now I miss it.
So let's talk the action in the NFL this weekend, Kasey Chimefold. Your Giants surprised the world. And,
even in winning, they disappoint me.
They do. Tell us why.
Because they went from the 2nd pick of the draft to the 5th. So, I mean, it's not like their season's going anywhere, but now they might potentially lose out on one of the top 2 quarterbacks.
I guess you want to get a quarterback. So, I mean, it's weird. I'm kind of torn. If I have the first pick, if I was an NFL team, it matters. I guess it's who I am and who I want to grab. But I mean, I would probably want Marvin Harrison more than a top tier quarterback. But that's me. I don't know.
Well, it's what Drake May and Caleb Williams are considered kind of 1 and 2.
Right.
Caleb Williams was consensus 1 at the start of the season, but I think he's had a pretty inconsistent year, and Drake May has been pretty dynamic. So a lot of scouts now have him as the top quarterback. And then after that, there's like 5 or 6 quarterbacks.
Bo Nix,
who are decent. Michael Penix, Bo Nix, guys like that.
Even Hartman for Notre Dame, I like. I mean,
the kid JJ McCarthy in Michigan's getting some love.
Yep.
Jaden Daniels in LSU is getting love.
Ex-Arizona State quarterback who transferred to LSU. Yeah, he's talking about it.
Personally, I would rather have Marvin Harrison and then try to develop one of those quarterbacks.
That's what I think.
Get him in the 2nd round. But
I'd rather have Marvin Harrison. I think Marvin Harrison's like a game changer. You know what I mean? I just think
he's Randy Moss. Like,
really, I agree. I don't disagree, and I just feel he's like a for surefire NFL star. I mean,
the way Randy Moss took over the NFL, like from day one, it felt like almost like Justin Jefferson did, starting the second half of year 1. He's got that kind of talent, so I'd rather have that. But they don't pay me to make those choices. So I see your chain you got on there.
I'm wearing this because what happened on Sunday.
Why don't you talk about the emotional reaction?
Bengals play Thursday. I thought we were over the whole Joe Burrow being hurt situation, and I was wrong. Wow. He basically hurt himself, his wrist. He tried to throw the ball. I don't know if you guys watched it. It was kind of sad to watch. I mean, he showed his emotions on his sleeve. I mean, he didn't hide anything at all. Yeah. And he couldn't throw the ball. I mean, his hand it looked like it was just numb, and he just couldn't throw it, couldn't grip it. And, he said something after the game that kind of grabbed me, just because I never heard a quarterback say this about another quarterback. he said, "Yeah, we have Joey Browning's our backup, and we'll be fine. He's a great player, and he'll do a great job." And he was complimenting his backup, which I never really see the quarterback say that. Aaron Rodgers hated Jordan Love when he was there. I mean, they never
well,
talked.
and he learned that from the best, because did Brett Favre ever say a positive thing about
No,
Aaron Rodgers?
no,
Yeah.
no, but it's nice to see like a guy like Joe Burrow who owes this guy nothing.
Right.
And he's like complimenting, listen, we're in good hands. I wish I could play, but you know what? We have Joey Browning, and I believe in him.
Yeah.
Which is great. And
Yeah,
so the Bengals
Burrow
now go from like a favorite in the AFC to probably not making the playoffs now. So there you go.
Burrow got paid, so now he can be a team guy, right? Like,
yeah, I think he's always been a good team guy.
I know.
He's
he
such
seems
like a
like
likable guy. Geez, this guy's unbelievable. But I mean, he is just it's just you want the best talent out there. Even though I can't stand like Baltimore, I want Lamar Jackson out there. I don't want to see his backup.
Right.
And do you see how Joe Flacco signed
Baltimore?
Joe Flacco signed with Cleveland. Did you see that?
Yeah. Speaking of, good afternoon, Albert. Good to have you back again. Speaking of Baltimore, Mark Andrews now out for the season. So now, like every week, there is at least one gigantic injury that changes the landscape of fantasy football.
It's weird. I saw him get hurt. I watched it on Red Zone, and he got hurt and he like limped off, and he was like limping to the locker room. But as soon as he got to the stairs inside the stadium, they showed it on TV.
Yeah,
he needed help to get up the stairs. Like you saw a guy on each side like helping him getting up the stairs. He just didn't want to show pain. But I mean, yeah, and then you got Bosa hurt for the Chargers, their star defensive lineman. He's out for a while. I mean, it's just these injuries are just piling up, and just keep on happening every week.
And our cover boy is because Kenneth Walker, they call
the third.
Kenneth Walker the third. Yeah, they call Pete Carroll is on the record saying it was a legit oblique injury, which means it's almost certain he'll miss this week. And if it's truly a legit oblique issue, he could be out multiple weeks. So,
well, let's talk about waiver wire. Let's talk about players you should pick up this week that can help your team win, because either you're in the playoffs or you're on the bubble. And this week, I always say this is like they say this on Red Zone. This is witching hour. This is the time when you got to win. This week is probably important to a lot of people where they're struggling for positions in the playoffs, or they're trying to make the playoffs. So let's talk waiver wire. Kasey Scheinfeld, who's your number one pickup? Let's say at quarterback this week. We had Burrow go down.
Yeah.
Who do you want to pick up at quarterback that's under 60? Let's say under 50%.
Okay, quarterback's pretty thin right now. Honestly, I think and I can't believe I'm going to say this, the number one pickup under 50% is Baker Mayfield.
Love it. I love that pick. I love it.
They're going
Tell
against,
us why.
They're going at, he's been shockingly above average this year. Another proof that Cleveland just has zero idea how to draft and develop quarterbacks, because, they could have had Baker Mayfield still. They could have had Dobbs still, they paid all that money to Watson. But anyway, he's going against Indianapolis, not a great pass defense. It's in the dome, so the weather's going to be good. You don't have to worry about any of the elements. I could see him throwing for 230 to 250. He's got great receivers. I mean, he's got Mike Evans and Godwin and Trey Palmer and the like. Rashad White has proven to be your Arizona State guy. I'll say it before
you got it right. Wow, I'm shocked.
Is a good pass catching back too. So there's no reason why he can't finish in the top 15 at quarterbacks this week.
I like the Baker pickup. I love watching him play. That guy gives 110% every play. He's running, he's throwing, he's doing whatever he can to win the game. He's a really scrappy guy, and he has something to prove. And I agree with you. I like Baker, and every week he's putting up good numbers, and he really is. And another guy that has an easy game this week, Kasey Scheinfeld, is Stafford for the Rams.
Yeah, you're in your la-la land.
In la-la land, I'm not a Ram fan, but I got the Bengals fan. But he is playing the Cardinals, who have a horrible pass defense. And Cooper Kupp is 50-50. They don't know if he's playing or not, but it doesn't matter. I mean, Puka and
Tutu Atwell. How good was he the first 5 weeks of the year without Cooper Kupp? So
great. And Higbee shot a good game.
Might be back too, right?
Kyron Williams is back, but it's his first week back. So if you have him, if you absolutely got to start him, start him. They did waive Darrell Henderson today, the Rams, which means they're done with Henderson. Even though he had a touchdown, they're done with him. He was like 2 yards a carry or something stupid, but he's gone, and they're happy with Freeman, and they're happy with Williams. So I think the Rams should have a good offensive game this weekend against the Arizona Cardinals, who are not playing well defensively, but their offense is playing okay.
Yeah.
With I'll say it right, Kyler Murray.
Nicely done.
And so I think Murray really, he was throwing bombs, Kasey Scheinfeld. He was running. He looked great.
Yeah, I think he's playing with a chip on his shoulder. Like, I'm going to prove because he had to listen to the narrative the entire year he was out, that they were looking to replace him. They were looking to get rid of him, that he wasn't a franchise quarterback. So
I still like Gardner Minshew if you need a quarterback, but I agree with you. Baker Mayfield is my number one pickup at quarterback, and number 2 is Stafford, and 3 I'll put Minshew.
I would agree with that.
And Joshua Dobbs, if you could pick him up, do it. That guy, all he does is score touchdowns running, and he throws a touchdown. And Justin Jefferson, I believe, is back this week. He didn't come back this week. It was iffy, but I believe he's back this week, and they had a loss against Denver, if you saw it. But I think Minnesota wants to start another winning streak, and I think they want to do it, Justin Jefferson. So
did you see, speaking of losses, the drops that lost games? Well, last night you had MVS, Valdez-Scantling dropping.
Horrible.
How about, I felt horrible for Justin Herbert on Quentin Johnston's drop at the end of that game when he's trying to get them back. Wow. I'm sorry. I just had to say that because you were talking about.
No, and Watson for Kansas City last night, he had 11 targets, Kasey Scheinfeld, and he dropped like 4 passes.
Yeah, he had a Kadarius Toney type of night.
He did. I think he caught a touchdown, but you got to catch the ball when it's thrown to you. That's all I got to tell you. So let's talk running back, Kasey Scheinfeld. I know you like our cover guy. Tell us why.
Well, for me, it's as much. I don't like him this week. I'll be honest, but I'm thinking of him as a pickup for the weeks after. Zach Charbonnet, the rookie out of UCLA. They used a 2nd-round pick on him. People love him, and Kenneth Walker III is hurt. We'll have to say he's the 3rd, right? We don't want to know about the other ones. And it's a volume play. Zach Charbonnet is the next man up. He's the guy who's going to get those carries. They are a decent running team. He could get, probably 15 touches if he gets 3 or 4 targets. They're going up against San Francisco Thursday night. So if you pick him up, you can watch him play. So that's kind of cool. No matter where you live.
Full stomach. Yeah, you got full stomach. You can watch.
But he is definitely somebody I would target. The other guy, and I've talked about him for a few weeks now, is Keaton Mitchell.
I watched him. Yeah, he
just keeps doing it. And now that Achane is hurt again, Keaton Mitchell is that same sort of big play guy who doesn't need more than 8 to 10 touches to take one to the house or to make a significant impact. It seems he's getting 30 to 35-yard rushes every game. So those are the 2 guys I would really target at the running back.
I also like Ty Chandler of Minnesota, even though Madison did play concussion. He ended up playing anyway.
Yeah.
This guy had like 14 touches for 110 yards from the line of scrimmage, which is pretty good. I think he'll still they'll still feed him. He'll still get the ball, Ty Chandler. I like this kid. I think it's a good pickup. If he's available in your league, I suggest you pick him up, especially for the playoff runs. This guy will keep on providing, and they'll keep on giving the ball. He is doing unbelievable for the Minnesota Vikings, and he's definitely a bright spot. The game they lost against Denver the past week.
And if you want a deeper play, kind of a sneaky play here.
Who is it?
Zeke
Elliott. Tell us why.
Because he's going against the Giants.
Love it.
Quite honestly, they're not a difficult team. Zeke knows the Giants well, plays, still has kind of some of that bad blood in him. He and Saquon kind of have their rivalry going through the years in the NFC East. I think Ramondre was questionable at the start of the week. I didn't check the practices today, so Zeke might get a few more carries. And they can't pass the ball, so he could get a lot of touches. I think so too. I think he's a deep play for guaranteed to get the the goal to go runs, kind of the
goal line,
runs.
give it to Zeke, feed him.
And so even if he only gets 38 yards, it could come with a touchdown and 3 receptions, which would give you, 14, 15 points.
Love it. So let's talk wide receiver, Kasey Scheinfeld. Who you thinking? Who should I pick up? What's going on?
Wide receiver is pretty thin too. I really like Josh Downs. You talked about Gardner Minshew. Who's he going to be throwing it to? In Indianapolis, Josh Downs is a good pickup, a good play. He's been the most reliable receiver in Indianapolis, and he runs that slot, so he's open a lot in the middle, runs the shorter routes. So that's probably my top play. The other one you can look at, Dallas is going against Washington. We saw the Tommy DeVito just throw 3 touchdown passes against Washington. So Brandon Cooks is another play. He's been getting a lot of volume lately.
Yeah.
He's had 2 or 3 good games out of the last 4. And so another player, as Ross likes to point out to everybody, he's playing Thursday, a nationally televised game. So right as if you're an early on the East Coast, if you eat 2, 3 o'clock, you can eat and then sit down immediately and watch him play, because they're the 4:30 game on Thursday, 4:30 Eastern.
Okay.
In the West, you can watch him while you're getting the table set and everything. So it's a player you can watch and root for, which is always fun.
Always fun. I like Jaden Reed of the Green Bay, who's playing in their early game on Thursday. This rookie I think he's Jordan Love's favorite receiver. He's been piling on fantasy points this season, and there's no reason why he can't
on
do
a
more.
35-yard end around. He had a rushing touchdown this past
rushing touchdown too. So all around, Jaden Reed, you can watch him play at the 12:30 Eastern game, 9:30 here. But I like him in that game against Detroit. I think there'll be a lot of points scored in that game, and I think Detroit's not a laughing matter anymore. It's like you used to like back in the day when Detroit was bad. I remember it was always the first game you would watch. There's always 2 games. Now there's 3. That was 2. But you would watch Detroit and you would like, okay, I can miss like a half because they're horrible. No one cares.
Yeah.
But now they're like the pride of the division. They're playing great football. They're 8-2. And now they're like must-watch TV. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
now you must watch them.
They might be the most exciting offense in football right now.
Yeah, I love Gibbs. I love Montgomery. I love St. Brown. All those guys. So Jaden Reed,
Demario Douglas,
another Patriot, which I hate talking about Patriots, but I'll just say they has to throw the ball to somebody. You know what I mean? There has to be the ball has to go to somebody. It's not Dan Ratner catching balls. It's going to be Demario Douglas. And I just feel if you need a receiver if you're desperate and you need somebody to start who'll get some volume, Kasey Scheinfeld. You could pick him up. You said Josh Downs, Brandon Cooks we like. I think Noah Brown is back this week, I want to say. Again, you want to get a piece of that Houston offense. I don't think it's a bad idea.
Well, but if Cooper Kupp is hurt, Tutu Atwell is only 26% owned.
I love Tutu. I love his name. As you know, I love Tutu Atwell. And yeah, you got to keep. They say I don't trust McVay with all these injuries. He always fabricates. I don't want to say lie. I say fabricate.
Slow plays.
So I don't trust him that much when it comes to fantasy. Like Belichick. I don't trust either of those guys. They destroy me. But let's talk tight ends, Kasey Scheinfeld. I know it's a position that we don't really honor that much, but you did mention top of the show that there's a tight end that's out for the season.
And so you have to
maybe this guy will take his place. Who is it?
Well, I think the first man up is obviously Isaiah Likely. He's probably the guy to get Mark Andrews a majority of his runs. But they have a kid, Charlie Kohler, who they think is even a better tight end from what I've read and what I've heard. A better athlete than Isaiah Likely is, maybe not as good of a route runner yet. So, I mean, Isaiah Likely is your first choice, but don't be surprised if Charlie Kohler gets some love from
Charlie Kohler. I didn't even know where he went to school. I know everything. I know almost everybody went to. I have no idea where this guy's from. Never heard of him. I don't know who he is, but doesn't matter because if Kasey likes him, I like him. I also like Luke Musgrave for Green Bay. He's only 6% owned. Luke's been having a good rookie year, and again, he plays in the first game on Thursday, so it's not a bad guy to watch. But I think Likely's the way to go. And I remember, I think it was 2 years ago, he scored the first touchdown in the NFL season. I think it was last year, not this year, last year, because I actually bet on it. And He actually scored the first touchdown in the NFL, which is kind of cool. Let's talk defenses. We'll play the game that we always do with you, and I'll say a defense. You tell me if you like it or not. Are you ready? Because I stream my defenses every week.
I do too. Go ahead.
Okay, you learned it from me. So my number one defense I like, just tell me if you like it or not. The Broncos are at home against Cleveland, and Cleveland's starting that rookie quarterback from UCLA with 3 names, which I forgot. I can't remember all 3 names, so I'm not going to say it. But what do you think about the Broncos defense, who really stepped it up last week?
I do like that defense. That was my number one too.
I like it. Okay, so let's go. Number 2 is the Titans are at home against Carolina. They're only 5% owned in fantasy football. What do you think about the Titans pickup?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the Titans defense, but the Carolina offense is so bad that it makes the Titans defense pretty good. So, and Dorian Thompson-Robinson, by the way, is the.
Thank you. I always forget the Thompson. I know it's Dorian Thompson. I know the Robinson part, and but now number 3, I'm going to surprise you. That's why I'm happy I'm doing it this way.
I think it's the chain.
I'm going to surprise you. No. It's going to be the New York Giants, Kasey Scheinfeld, against the Patriots. I don't believe in the Patriots offense at all. I mean, I disclaim them, and I think the Giants they won their last game. Why not win their next game?
Yeah, I mean, it could absolutely happen. I like Cincinnati, and actually Minnesota's defense is better this week, but I can see them being up there. Okay, would you trade Michael Pittman for Cooper Kupp?
Let me think. Yeah, I mean,
if Kupp is
immediately, I mean, Kupp could miss 3 games in a row, and I would still do that trade because
if you're already, well, it depends. If your team is in a position to already make the playoffs, where you don't need to win this week, it's a no-brainer. Outside of that, if you need the guaranteed points this week, because we don't know if Kupp is a go or not, then I might hold off. But if you're guaranteed the playoffs, if you're like Ross is 9-2 in one of his leagues where he could lose the next 3 games and still be in the playoffs, absolutely. You want Kupp if you can when the points matter.
I mean, Kupp is banged up, but he's 50-50, and he'll play the following week for sure.
Yeah.
And Pittman is he has like, his name describes him pretty well. He has a lot of pits during the season. Really low scoring games and
he doesn't have great chemistry with Gardner Minshew.
Even though he went to USC. Yeah, I agree with you. Let's talk Thursday night.
Pittman went to Ohio State.
I thought he was USC, but maybe I'm wrong. Okay, let's talk Thursday football. Kasey Scheinfeld. I'll just mention a game. You tell me fantasy wise, is anybody you like? The first game you're going to go nuts because there's a lot of good starters. So Green Bay is at Detroit.
This could be, a fantasy bonanza, certainly on Detroit's side, because you're going to run out Jared Goff. You're going to run out Jahmyr Gibbs. You're going to run out Montgomery. You're going to run out there Amon-Ra St. Brown. You could even run out Jameson Williams if you wanted to, and you're going to run out Sam Laporta. Except for Jameson Williams, they're all probably top 6 or 7 at their position in terms of ranks for this weekend. On Green Bay side, you and I both like Jaden Reed, and we both like Romeo Dobbs.
And also, something else we didn't talk about.
Maybe
somebody was we didn't talk about. Aaron Jones is out; he's hurt.
AJ Dillon just looks so slow.
Man, that's the thing. I mean, that's why I even bring it up. It's like, do we want to get AJ Dillon?
I just don't trust him.
And I mean, that's why I think Detroit's going to roll Green Bay because their running game's not there. And
which is why I think the only plays are going to be wide receivers, pass catchers, Musgrave, Dobbs, and Jaden Reed. Christian Watson caught a touchdown last week.
That's what he does. He catches a touchdown and he disappears. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I think Dobbs is the guy to get. Okay, the Commanders are at the Cowboys. The Cowboys had a big win last weekend. The Commanders had a huge loss last weekend. But, Howell is like leading the league in like passing. I mean, he's just like tearing it up, passing yardage.
Ron Rivera, Riverboat Ron. I'm sorry, you're probably
he's going to lose his job,
coach.
Yeah. I mean, he's gone. That's funny when you fire a coach, you just got to remember you got to hire somebody. So who are you going to take his place?
Eric Bieniemy.
Is Eric Bieniemy the answer? I don't know, but I do like him. I think he's a smart coach, great offensive mind.
I read an article that like all 7 of the coaches who are on the hot seat or close, like just crapped the bed this weekend.
Chargers, you're
Chargers,
right. Yeah.
You know, like every one of them,
Yeah.
Carolina, Washington, they all just played.
So with Dallas, Kasey, are you still going with Pollard? I mean, you still just keep rolling with him, or you bench him, or what do you want to do with him?
I'm going to keep rolling with him because, I mean,
Okay.
Washington has proven that it's not a great defense. You know, ironically, though, they did get 9 sacks of Tommy DeVito, which is a crazy high number. So I played their defense this weekend as a streamer because, well, it's the Giants and Tommy DeVito, right? Like I wasn't worried. They gave up, 31 points, but they got 9 sacks. So they still got me 9 points because everything else was washed away. But no, I'm going to run out there Pollard, CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Jake Ferguson. Dak Prescott has been the best quarterback in the world for the last 5 weeks. On the Washington side,
Penn State, you're a Penn State guy? Dotson?
No, I don't think I'm going to run out Dotson. I mean, I'm Terry.
I think Brian Robinson's is playing pretty well. I probably would start him. I don't believe in Dallas's rush defense that much. I think Washington will score some points. The spread, I know we don't like to talk about gambling, but the spread is 11 points. I think Washington will score points and may cover that in the back end. But overall, I think Dallas will just roll and score and score and score. It'd be a high scoring game for Dallas.
Yeah, which means Howell's going to be throwing the ball a lot. So
he'll be, but Brian Robinson catches the ball too. So
yeah,
fantasy wise, I would probably start Brian Robinson for that reason. And I think they'll get some trash touchdowns.
I might start Curtis Samuel. I could see him having a good game in that slot, out of the slot there.
Yeah. So 49ers play the late game, which starts 8:20 Kasey Scheinfeld time. How about that? 8:20.
Yeah, I'll be asleep by the second half. All that turkey.
That's like a myth. For me, tell you something. You can have turkey, and then maybe after dinner you can have like an iced tea or a Diet Coke or something with caffeine or coffee or something, and you're up. But the Niners are in Seattle. Seattle could be minus Geno Smith, could be Drew Lock. I don't know what's going on there. And
they're going to be down Kenneth Walker.
No Kenneth Walker playing. And the Niners I think they'll win, but I don't think they'll roll. I think they'll just do enough to win.
I have a feeling you're going to need a big game out of DK Metcalf if Seattle's going to stay in.
I think Lockett and Metcalf, I agree, but again, it's Drew Lock. So how much confidence do you have with him? But it's in Seattle, and that 12th man will come into effect, and it's going to be cold and probably rainy. I'm just making this stuff up. I have no idea what the weather is going to be. But
Brock Purdy's from Iowa State, so cold doesn't bother him.
Yeah, Brock Purdy would become Brock Montana again because 3 touchdown passes last week.
Perfect quarterback rating.
And perfect quarterback rating, 159.5, I think. And he was just on fire. He was just, we counted him out. We were saying, he's playing like the last pick in the draft. And I have to eat my words again because Brock Montana is back, baby, and that offense is back.
They're humming, yeah.
And they're humming that week off. I guess they learned some stuff. They figured it out.
What you saw was those 2 weeks, 2 of the 3 weeks where Brock played poorly was the concussion. I think they brought him back to play, but he still probably wasn't 100% because of the concussion. So he got healthy. Trent Williams came back. Debo got healthy. So he's got a healthy offensive line and weapons galore with McCaffrey and Ayuk. Ayuk to me is a top 5 wide receiver right now in the NFL. I think he's that good. He's clearly their number 1. George Kittle is a top tight end when healthy, and he's been healthy. And Debo is a great number 2 wide receiver. As much as we get frustrated with the inconsistency in his performances, defenses have to account for him, which means there's openings everywhere.
I love it. But let's talk Sunday a little bit. We'll step on it. Let me just tell you, we're in the survival pool thing together. I haven't lost this year yet.
I'm dead.
You're dead. I haven't lost. I'm 12 for 12. But this week, tell me if I'm making a mistake, Kasey Scheinfeld. I'm taking Tennessee
over Carolina.
I
think it's a smart pick. But you can't go by me. I'm out already, and you haven't picked one wrong
yet. But that's when you ask people when they're out because they always win when they're out. I mean, that's like the rule of thumb. But that's who I'm taking this week. I know I hate with Tennessee. It's Will Levis. I get it, but I just feel that Tennessee is going to do really well. I think Henry's going to have a big game. Hopefully, we'll see what happens. But I don't count. I'm not confident like I usually am. Like last week, I had Detroit, and Detroit won in the last minute, so I got lucky there. I'll take that.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't used Miami, obviously they'd be a good pick.
So let me just go through the games real quick. Jacksonville is playing Houston. In Houston, I feel points galore in that game.
That could be a shootout. Speaking of which, frickin' Calvin Ridley. You and I were raving about him at the start of the season. He had 2 touchdowns in week 1. We're like, we're obviously the greatest analysts of wide receivers ever. Then he does nothing for 2 weeks. He's I think walking. Last week we talked about it. It's like finally you just got to write him off.
You cut him?
And all of a sudden 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. So
yeah, there you go.
You how much we know.
Yeah. So there you go. You just got to hold on to people certain times. And we're doing that with Pollard. We're saying Pollard's going to start popping.
Because Pollard could have 4 straight weeks where he's like the best wide receiver in the world.
And the funny thing about Jacksonville is they play better away. That was their first home win, Kasey Scheinfeld, this season, which is unbelievable. And they play better away. I think they have like 1 loss in away games, which is like it doesn't make any sense. But they'll take it. And Trevor Lawrence is a guy that doesn't care where he plays; he'll do well wherever. So I think you're right. I think with both teams, you got to start their stars. I think that's going to be a high scoring game. It's going to be exciting. It should be a fun. After we talked about the Rams and Cardinals, that's going to be high scoring. Start any Ram or Cardinal you have. I think. But, it's like Hollywood Brown had that big touchdown catch in the first quarter. Then he was didn't have a catch the rest of the game. It was all Rondale Moore. And Wilson the rest of the game. So I don't trust Murray with Hollywood, but I think Murray's kind of fun to watch now. And if you have him, I would probably start him against the Rams at home. I think that's a good start. And then the Chiefs play the Raiders. I think the Chiefs are going to bounce back big against the Raiders. They'll score a lot of points. And I also like the Ravens are playing on Sunday night against the Chargers, and I feel that's going to be a high-scoring affair too with those 2 teams going at it. And I think the best game, even though the team's not playing well, is the Bills are at the
Buffalo
Eagles.
At Philadelphia. I think that's a trap game for Philadelphia right now. I
agree.
I definitely would be betting if I was a bettor or if we encouraged gambling, which we don't.
Yep.
I would be betting on Buffalo in that one.
So Buffalo getting 3.5 points. I like that, Kasey Scheinfeld. I'll remember that. I think it's a trap game too. I think the Eagles coming off a huge win, last quarter win against Kansas City last night. I think that it's going to be a tough game for them. And Buffalo's really, they're really mad. I mean, they're not a happy team. I mean, they're performing horribly and all these high expectations. And I think it's a must game for them if they want to make the playoffs. So there you go. But you know what, Kasey, that's the show. If there's any more questions, I would do it now. If not, we're going to be off the air on Thursday.
Yes,
for Thanksgiving.
We will be watching football with the rest of you.
Yep, we'll be watching football, enjoying our Thanksgiving. But Kasey, have a
favorite Thanksgiving side. Go.
What?
Favorite side at Thanksgiving.
Favorite
side dish.
Oh, favorite side dish. Mashed potatoes.
Mashed potatoes. All right, I'm a stuffing guy.
But my wife makes mashed potatoes with melted string cheese in it. It's just delicious.
Ooh, wow, that does sound good.
It does sound good. But what's yours? Green beans, casserole?
No, I like stuffing, like a sausage stuffing, and I like.
Oh yeah, we're making that too. We're having.
But turkey mashed potatoes smothered in gravy is hard to beat.
It's so I love I love Thanksgiving. It's one of my favorite holidays to have the family together. And
you get the family together. It's maybe the best meal of the year, and there's football.
And starting at 9:30, going all the way to like 9 p.m. It's football.
Yeah.
And try to start all your players from your fantasy league just because you have something to do. It's fun.
It's more fun to watch. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I encourage people to start players that are in primetime games or that are national televised games like those on Thursday. And Friday, we have first time ever Black Friday
football. I know.
Miami playing the Jets. The Jets are going with Tommy Boyle. Is that or Danny Boyle? Or?
I think it's Tommy Boyle.
Whatever it is. Boyle versus
Danny Boyle's an actor, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, he was in Young Frankenstein. And then Tua is Tua better bounce back and play pretty well. He didn't play well the last game, even though they won.
But he doesn't have to.
That should be a fun game too. When they made the schedule, I thought there would be Rodgers playing, but that's not happening. You did the Waddle. Okay, so we'll see everybody next Tuesday, same time, 1:00 Western, 4:00 Eastern.